heart, lung, liver, because we know that, so I'm not going to crush that part.
Recent videos released by the Center for Medical Progress reveal Planned Parenthood's inhumane treatment of unborn children and its executives negotiating the sale of baby hearts, lungs, and livers.
Another boy, another boy, boy.
How did we get to this point? To understand present-day Planned Parenthood, we should understand Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood's founder and hero.
American Birth Control League, which later became Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger was no doubt a controversial figure with disturbing views on eugenics, race, and population control. While some argue she even wanted to exterminate the black race, others are trying to erase that part of her past.
What's going on, guys? This is 80, the African Red Pill. Today's video, what are we talking about? Before we get into it, I'm gonna kindly ask for you to hit like, hit subscribe, and comment if you can. It helps with the algorithm. Let's get into it. Today's video we're talking about Margaret Sanger, abortion, and the role she played with the birth control and the pill itself. And we're talking about her, if she is a good woman, evil, oh, what they talk about her is false. Let's check out who Margaret Sanger is.
Heart, lung, liver, because we know that, so I'm not going to crush that part.
Recent videos released by the Center for Medical Progress reveal Planned Parenthood's inhumane treatment of unborn children and its executives negotiating the sale of baby hearts, lungs, and livers.
Another boy, another boy, boy.
How did we get to this point? To understand present-day Planned Parenthood, we should understand Margaret Sanger, Planned Parenthood's founder and hero.
Margaret Sanger was a big proponent of negative eugenics, which was the viewpoint that you should weed out unfit people from the bloodline. So that would be encouraging people not to procreate if they were unfit, feeble-minded, had any kind of mental illness, and that also included forced sterilization.
Words like unfit and feeble-minded were used to describe not only the poor and mentally ill, but also to describe African Americans.
What an evil bitch. This is the person who's celebrated by a lot of women out there just because she invented the pill. And it's the reason why promiscuity with women is high in this day and age. This is the woman they celebrate.
Race. Margaret Sanger stated that the most merciful thing that the large family does to one of its infant members is to kill it.
In 1939, Sanger wrote a letter to her eugenics colleague, Dr. Clarence Gamble, a member of the Birth Control Federation of America, in regards to setting up the Negro Project, a birth control clinic for African Americans.
She was speaking about serving what she called the Negro population, and in concluding this portion of the letter, she stated that we do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members.
Sanger believed that having an African American minister on staff would ease the suspicion.
African American populations were considered some of these unfit members that should be weeded out. So in this letter, she discusses having African Americans serve other African Americans so they wouldn't be aware that they were seeking to terminate them, to exterminate them by the use of birth control and negative eugenics.
She didn't invent the pill because she loves women, because she loves black women, because she loves minority women. She was a eugenic. You know who eugenics are? Eugenics are those people who believe in population control, and they only believe in one human race, which they consider to be a special breed. Everybody who falls out of that criteria is considered to be a toxic race. Just like this evil bitch. Excuse my French, but she was an evil bitch. This is the person whose role model was the lead researcher for Hitler's population control. I've forgotten the guy's name. The guy, yeah, I think it's mentioned in the video. Yeah, I think it's mentioned in the video. her role model was the sole reason who did the research on Hitler's population control and came to killing the Jews, killing the minorities, and all those atrocities Hitler did. This is the person women celebrate. But anyways, I don't blame them. People have got a tendency of rewriting history. And somebody out there has tried to rewrite history and tried to write nice things about this Margaret Sanger. If you check out some of the things, like if you are researching about her, you find that certain things or certain bad things she did don't get highlighted when they are describing her. Well, just check out her biography. You just find that they're just talking about those positive things they deem to be positive about her. They don't talk about the bad things she used to do. This is the person women celebrate.
Sanger was quite fond of Dr. Ernst Ruden's work, director for the Society for Racial Hygiene. He would later go on to write Nazi Germany's sterilization laws. In 1933, she published his article, Eugenic Sterilization, an Urgent Need, which promoted programs to eliminate the unfit in order to create a super race. In the late 1930s and 40s, knowledge of Nazi atrocities made words like eugenics and population control unpopular in America. So in 1942, to distance itself in name, Margaret Sanger's American Birth Control League became Planned Parenthood. They weren't just being established in the U.S., it was global. A grim fact in American history was the forced sterilization sterilized 1/3 of Puerto Rican women by 1968, making it the highest proportion of childbearing aged persons sterilized in the world. And today,
Planned Parenthood facilities are generally located in low-income areas which are heavily populated with minorities, and a lot of times they seek to reach those minorities to help them with reproductive rights, they say, with birth control and largely abortion.
Independent studies have concluded that nearly 80% of Planned Parenthood facilities are set up in minority communities. It's no wonder abortion is the leading cause of death among African Americans, higher than all other causes combined. Mounting evidence against Planned Parenthood's beginning to today continues to fuel public outcry.
The American people should seek to immediately defund Planned Parenthood so that our own tax dollars don't go to support this organization who has been exposed to be lying to the American people for many years, for committing these egregious acts against the youngest children among us. They should be immediately defunded.
And then this thing of abortions. I don't even know why some people have been brainwashed to start supporting such evil atrocities. Like, surely who can support somebody aborting a baby at 9 months? When somebody is pregnant at 9 months? Come on, if you didn't want to have a baby, you wouldn't have gone all the way to 9 months. And then again, these same people are pushing for abortions. They are selling baby parts like we have seen in the video. This world has always been evil. And it's evil now, and it will always be evil. I don't know where we're heading. Or probably we're already there, like what was happening in the Bible, like the Sodom and Gomorrah stuff. Yeah, if you're a Christian or a religious person, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. This is where we're at right now. No two ways about it. Somebody will sell baby parts and their conscience is just free. Come on, come on. This hero, this woman's hero, was actually a fan of this, of some of the most evil people in history. Like that doctor, like I mentioned earlier on in the video, like the doctor who was doing some projects for Hitler about population control and the like. Let's check it out.
American Birth Control League, which later became Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger was no doubt a controversial figure with disturbing views on eugenics, race, and population control. While some argue she even wanted to exterminate the black race, others are trying to erase that part of her past.
The Mike Wallace Interview.
In the eyes of some, Margaret Sanger has been a heroine. In the eyes of others, she's been a destructive force.
In her own words, Sanger pushed for a society that limited births to those she deemed fit to have children.
I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born.
In 1916, Sanger opened the country's first birth control clinic. As a member of the American Eugenics Society, she advocated improving the genetic composition of humans through controlled reproduction of different races and classes. She often wrote about the issue in the journal she founded, called the Birth Control Review. In 1919, writing,
I personally believe in the sterilization of the feeble-minded, the insane, and the syphilitic. The most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the over-fertility of the mentally and physically defective.
Many point to a 1923 New York Times interview as proof of Sanger's racist motives, in which she referred to people as weeds, saying,
It means the release and cultivation of the better racial elements in our society and the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extirpation of defective stocks, those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization.
Hayden Ludwig, an investigative researcher, has extensively studied Sanger's life and writings.
She talked about the need for race betterment through controlling these weeds, basically undesirable people.
In 1939, after opening another clinic in Harlem, the birth control activist launched the Negro Project, an initiative supported by Black leaders, such as civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois. Critics claim the program used the pretense of better health and family planning for poor Blacks in the South as an attempt to limit the Black race. Ludwig says some on the left grapple with Sanger's past and how to interpret her legacy.
They know when she writes about human weeds, they know that it's repulsive. They know it's disgusting. The left will never abandon Margaret Sanger because if they do, she's the foundation of so many of their views.
Sanger once shared her vision for a preferred race at a women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan, writing in her autobiography,
Always, to me, any aroused group was a good group.
Despite those views, liberals praise Sanger's work while ignoring her history.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. I am really in awe of her.
Ryan Baumberger, founder of the Radiance Foundation, says abortion proponents are working to clean up Sanger's past and what she stood for.
They have to reinvent her every time they talk about her in order to justify their celebration of her.
Former Planned Parenthood Director Abby Johnson says those inside the abortion industry are trained to overlook Sanger's racist views.
They give you an answer like, well, I mean, yes, Margaret Sanger was a racist, but everybody was a racist back then. You accept it because she is your hero. And she has to be your hero. You cannot question Planned Parenthood.
In 1997, Stephen Mosher of the Population Research Institute wrote about the push to repackage Margaret Sanger in the Wall Street Journal.
The reason I call it the repackaging of Margaret Sanger is because after the Nazi regime destroyed the legitimacy of eugenics forever, they then went back and said, oh, she was just an early feminist. She was just an early supporter of family planning. No, she wasn't. No, she was a supporter of giving IQ tests to people. She was in favor of using those IQ tests to determine who should be sterilized and who should have children.
In a response titled The Demonization of Margaret Sanger, Alexander Sanger, her grandson and president of Planned Parenthood at the time, called Mosher's editorial unfair. In the same piece, Esther Katz, director of NYU's Margaret Sanger Papers Project, claimed evidence revealing Sanger did not rationalize her support for birth control on racist grounds, that she never advocated genocidal policies, aimed at racial, ethnic, or religious groups, and that she, in fact, believed access to birth control would benefit, not eliminate minority populations. Dr. Katz turned down our request for an interview, although in this article, the editor as public authority, interpreting Margaret Sanger, she wrote, "By our current highly sensitized standards, some of her attitudes and statements can be construed as racist, elitist, ethnocentric, and not politically correct." In 1942, Margaret Sanger's American Birth Control League became Planned Parenthood, which has moved to fulfill its founders' goals, helped greatly by the Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade.
Under the veil of secrecy and deception, 60+ million babies have not been born because they were aborted legally since '73. 1/3 of that population belong to the African American community.
A frightening and telling number, given blacks make up only 13% of the U.S. population. Dan Gaynor of the Media Research Center says that Sanger's true mission remains alive and well throughout today's abortion industry.
Look at the maps. See where the abortion facilities are. They are near places where people are marginalized, people are poor, people are minority, and that's their target market.
Generation after generation, we have built a better world for our daughters.
Because of allies in the media and academia, Gaynor also points out how speech from conservatives and others about Sanger's past, Planned Parenthood practice, and abortion is often classified as hate speech.
There is nothing as close to a sacrament in the media as abortion. It is a holy writ that abortion is protected. And anybody who comes out against it, any organization, any business, anybody, the media swarm.
So does social media.
Facebook's new oversight board, and this is really concerning, has 4 co-chairs. And they're going to be the appeals board for content. Well, one of the 4 oversight board is on the board of an pro-abortion group. There's no pro-lifers. They're not there.
The problem also exists on many college campuses.
I remember at Harvard, they
for this Planned Parenthood to still be a thing right now, it means that evil ways she did left a legacy. So in short, she left a legacy which is still standing up to now, of which is evil but is living in plain sight. What more can I say? Is this a person who deserves to be celebrated? Really? Is this a person who deserves to be celebrated? If you can celebrate a person like this, it means you can celebrate people like Hitler and all the evildoers in the past. Just because this bitch is a woman, you want to give a pass on her? No ways, man. No ways. God damn it.
Also exists on many college campuses.
I remember at Harvard, they laughed when I was talking about the history of eugenics. And they said, that doesn't matter. Planned Parenthood is not like it was during Margaret Sanger's days.
Those who oppose her views say not true and are committed to exposing her past for future generations. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Not only American people should stand and fight against this Planned Parenthood crap. There should be people worldwide. Because abortion is being pushed around the world. It's not only in America. Yeah, I guess we've seen a little bit of history about this woman, evil woman who's been celebrated for some time now because she introduced or invented the birth control pill, which was meant to depopulate us as minorities. Yeah, this is where I'm gonna end my video. Hope you learned something. Hit like, subscribe, comment if you can. It helps with the algorithm. This is where I'm ending my video. Peace.